Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the fifth grade concept of representing equations for multi-step problems. This is 5.4b Readiness Practice, the advanced version. If you're interested in exploring the 5.4b Readiness Practice for the intermediate or proficient versions, or the Readiness Practice resource line with any other standard, you can find those by using the link in the video description. So we have a farmer here, and we're harvesting 3 fields of corn. So I'm just going to kind of draw a representation here, right? So I've got 125 bushels, I've got 180 bushels, and then I've got 145 bushels. And then I sold 2/5 of the bushels at $8 a bushel. So I need to find an equation here. Okay, so let's write this equation here because I'm going to take all this and I'm going to sell 2/5 of it. So first I want to figure out how much did I actually sell? Well, let's add up the 125, the 180, and then the 145, right? And if I wanted to kind of continue with my drawing, right, I could take each of these and cut it into fifths and calculate how much each fifth is, right, on each of these. What I could do with my equation is I could sum all of these up, and then I know that I don't sell all of them. I sell 2/5 of them. So I'm going to put this 2/5 on the outside of the parentheses. No operation means that it is going to be multiplying, so I'm going to take 2/5 or multiply by 2/5, and then I'm also going to multiply that product by 8. So this is going to give me m. Now, let's actually solve it. So let's do my 125, 180, 145. Okay, so that's going to be 10. That's 10, 11, 15. That's 450. So really what I have here is I've got 2/5 times 450 times that $8 each. Now, we've got a few different choices on how we're going to multiply by 2/5. When you multiply by 2/5, it's really a two-step problem. What you do is you take your 450 and you multiply it by 2, right? And then you end up dividing by 5. You multiply by the numerator, divide by the denominator. Or you can do it in one step. You can convert 2/5 into a fraction, into a decimal. So 2/5, right, equals 4/10. So you could just multiply by 4/10. I'm going to do that just because it's going to be one step easier. So that's 20, 16, 18, but one digit behind the decimal, one digit behind the decimal. So now it's 180. So now I've got my 180 times 8. And so I'm just going to do my 180 times 8. I don't want that extra 0. So that's 64. And that's going to be 8 and then another 14. So M equals, put my dollar sign back in there, $1,440. So I have my actual equation here, and I went ahead and solved it, $1,440. For our next problem, we have a theme park. We get tickets for 28 each. A family buys 6 tickets and also spends $45 on food. All right, so let's just draw a strip diagram here. All right, so I'm going to do 6 tickets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That leftover is going to be food. So I've got 6 sets of 28. And then I've got $45 on food. Now I've got $250 in total. I need to figure out how much they have left. So I'm assuming that their total is going to be greater than this amount of money they spent because it's asking me how much money they have left. So I'm going to put 250 right here. And then here's my question. What's this? What's that gap? What's my change if we want to solve for change? So how can we do that? Well, we can have x is our leftover, right? And I'm going to write it like the problem gives it to me. I'm going to have to leave space in the front, though, because I know something's coming up at the end. I can add 28 6 times, probably easier to do 6 times 28. Now, I need to add that $45 I spent on food. Since order of operations is in place, I don't need a parentheses because I'm going to naturally do the 6 times the 28 before I add the 45. But all of this needs to be summed together and then taken away from 250. So I need to give myself a little bit of room up front. I need to take my 250 and then minus how much has been spent. So let's figure out what this is going to be. Let's do order of operations. So 28 times 6, that's going to be 48. So that's 12, that's 16. Okay, so I've got my 168. Now I'm going to add that 45 for the food. It's 13, it's 10, that's 11, 213. So really what I'm going to get is 250 minus 213. And once you add that up, you can say X equals, they've got $37 left. So here's my equation. And then here is the actual value of X. All right, so we have a school planning a field trip, 210 students, and each van can hold 15 students. The school ran enough vans for all the students. So first, if I've got my 210, I'm going to put my total number of students here. My question is how many 15s does it take to get all of those kiddos? Okay, that's step one. I got to figure out how many 15s it takes. Then I'm going to have 2 extra vans, and then I've got to multiply that by the cost. Okay, so let's figure out, we're looking for B. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to take my 210, I'm going to divide that by 15. I need to see how many vans I need to purchase. Okay, once I do that, I've got to purchase an extra 2 vans because I need some for the teachers and chaperones. And then ultimately, when I do all that, each of those vans is going to cost me 275 bucks. So that's going to be my equation B for, how much the school is going to pay for the van rentals. Let's figure out how many times 15 goes into 210. So 15 goes into 21 once. That's going to be 60, and that goes in 4 times, and that goes in evenly. All right, so that's 14. So really, we're looking at 14 plus 2. That's 16 times 275. So let's figure out what that is. That 275 times 16. That's going to be 30. 42, 45. That's going to be 12, and 4 is 16. And then I'm just going to write 275 down below because it's times 1. 0, 10. That's 14. Wow, $4,400. So B equals $4,400. I hope the school has a lot of money. That's a lot of vans, and that's a lot of people. So if you're interested in exploring the 5.4B Readiness Practice resource aligned with the intermediate or proficient versions, or the Readiness Practice resource aligned with any other standard, you can find those by using the link in the video description.